thing I'm interested too, on that card I believe, is our address. So if you'd like to also come physically to our facilities and take a tour, feel free to contact us.
All right, we are about to get started. Hi everyone, welcome to Startup Vegas. Today we are doing our LinkUp program, which is our monthly end of the month Wednesday program. This month we did it 1 week earlier just because I know there's a lot of graduations going on, so we wanted to make sure that everyone can attend. Today we have an awesome person. We have Nevada Colwell. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Colwell?
Yeah.
Perfect.
My wife might not agree with you, but go ahead.
Oh. All right, so he is the Director of Marketing and Client Success at Jampack. And thank you for all of you guys for coming here just to learn about client success today. And thank you to his colleagues that are here as well, even if he is your boss and he told you guys to come. I appreciate it.
No boss.
No boss?
Teammates. Teammates.
But I'll let you go ahead and take it off from here. So thank you so much for being here.
Right on. Well, thank you for Lexi and team for me coming here. Real quick, so this is kind of fun for myself and a few other teammates. Chris Jones back there from when we were Fuse. We started here, so I think it's funny. Startup. Here we are where we started. Ironic. Yeah, and we work all over this place, which this was a fascinating place when it comes to people in startup companies and what they're doing. But before I get started, I just want to ask, like, who all, well, I'm assuming everyone's got their own business here, you're kind of in the startup world, and everyone raises their hand if they are, and good, okay. Everything goes super smoothly all the time for marketing and the tools you use and the people you work with, right? Because I just want to make sure as I talk here, like, if someone's saying everything's super cool and kind of like a parent says their kid is the greatest kid ever, I don't want my kid hanging out with that kid. I think my kid is flawed and all kinds of stuff, right? So, because that's this whole thing, this thing that I personally lived and we started here and the team that's here with me. I don't like the tech business, startup business, whatever you want to call it, is not the smooth thing to be a part of, but it's also what makes it fun. You don't get to control everything. So anyways, so before I dive into talking about client success and what that entails, which it kind of bleeds into marketing a little bit. Like, again, I think he said back there he's got a BS in marketing from school, and I like that term. But anyways, before I get started, I'd be amiss to not talk about what Jampack does. So obviously, from scrappy to scalable, building client loyalty from the ground up. We'll get into that, but I'll just kind of tell you where we're at today, and then we'll kind of reverse it and go back to where it started. Jampack unlocks unprecedented efficiency, scale, and profitability in the experience-driven travel market. We sit in a very busy, messy, noisy business or kind of industry when it comes to hotels, events, whether it be festivals, sporting events, take your pick. We fit right in the middle of it. Today, we connect the entire trip from tickets, hotels, to experiences and perks. This number may be off a little bit, probably not updated probably in a month, so I'm sure the number is even higher, but over the past 4 years, we've taken care of 180,000 travelers. We've serviced over 100,000 orders, 400 plus events, and then that number could be higher or whatever, but you know, it's a sexy number when it comes to marketing. But this is a good list of the clients that we work with. And there are some names that may jump out at you and some that you may never heard of. From the hotel side to the Wilmer Youngs here in town, to Golden Voice, that the majority of festivals across the country. Danny Wimmer, powerful festival group, and if you love rock and roll, they hold it in the palm of their hand. And then, obviously, if you've ever seen the car show, probably never heard of that unless you're in the conference world. But for us on that side, it's a new venture that we've dove into, and a lot of success, and a lot of teammates in the back navigate that. But anyways, but the bigger thing is what we do for these producers is we help them make this incremental revenue that sits outside of the normal ticket, merchandise, food and beverage, take the things that if you don't understand the world, but if you do, they don't get the share of the travel side, right? Like, and when I say travel, I'm gonna be very specific right now, more to the hotel side. Today, most of these festival groups or events, they may do a sponsorship deal with a hotel group, and they may get some sponsorship dollars, but it ain't that much. Or they'll get like a discount that people can go and book their rooms if you've ever done that before. We come in and we work with them and we use the platform to leverage what we get from a pricing model. And I'll kind of dive in a little bit, but where we get that line share, that kind of that margin area that they don't get to touch, and that's where we work together on packaging through the platform with tickets and other, let's just say items of add-ons and things like that. But I'll talk about that in here a little bit. But again, just kind of touch on the numbers. Numbers are sexy. I think this sticks out, you know, kind of tells you who the decision maker is, right? And who we need to kind of always talk to. And then the ranges, it's kind of, I mean, interesting where this sits and then where we kind of dip off over there and kind of dip in here. But there's a lot of things that we do without getting too geeky here about what we approach from a marketing standpoint, how we get in front of these audiences with the clients. Just more numbers. This is something that for our team as a marketing group over the past year, we took client success and marketing and smashed them together. We felt that served our clients better, our company, so you didn't have an external voice kind of working with the middle person, which was client success. So today, we're now got our arms wrapped around that, and these numbers are starting to become more important, not to just the company, but for us and what we put a flagpole in and how we get after things. But as you can see, great numbers, don't want to beat it up. I mean, numbers are great, but attitude and effort and execution are what matters. But again, marketing department, what we've done now, really, we hone in on this.
Sorry, just.
Yeah, go
How
ahead.
does that conversion ratio work out to? Just trying to do it in my head, just wondering if you had it.
Where are you at?
The conversion ratio.
Where are we at? Where did
Your prospect to? No, it's not there. I'm just saying, like, you have 1.6 million social media impressions and then, 45K travelers, right? So.
Yeah. So again, marketing, right? Like it looks cool, but there's a little bit of trick to the trade on our world of client success and working with clients. So while you see that, it doesn't always translate over to. Fantastic question. We sit in the world of that all the time, and there's a bit of smoke and mirrors when you see numbers and what that really means. I'll use the word attribution. I like that word because I think a lot of people make a lot of money off that word. But yeah, I tell you that if you look at that and think, oh, does that translate? Not really. I mean, there takes a whole repetitiveness of how to get someone to convert. That number, while it looks good, again.
Well, yeah, that's what I was trying to work it out.
Yeah.
Because it looks good there.
Your head will explode. I mean,
Yeah.
go ahead, but I don't. Again, some teammates in the back. Love we in that conversation. We actually have a third-party agency that caters to Win, Live Nation. They're our agency as well. And if you ever want, you can jump on our Thursday calls, and we get into that world a lot. So
I might take you up, so don't offer it.
yeah, no, they're the best. These are some of our top destinations. We're all over the United States. We are in Canada. We're in Europe. We're in Paris right now for Lincoln Park. And this is all because of tech. This would be our second time with Lincoln Park in Paris. Not one jam-packed employee is there. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, are you guys based here in Vegas?
For the most part, I would say, I don't know, you guys tell me, I think it's like 70%, 75% of our team is here.
Based in Vegas, but we have remote branches in China, San Francisco.
Like Chris Jones, glad he talks. So Jones he's on our tech side, engineering side. At any given day, he's also working with folks in China and Chicago and take your pick. So yeah, there's a good portion of that, but then the other portion are spread out. So just depends. Which is what's cool about today with business. I mean, the fact that we were able to do Paris with Lincoln Park without having anybody, and I don't know what we got a second one going up, but yeah, it went smooth. And I think it was like probably about 600 attendees that we catered to. So, all right. So I talked a little bit about kind of like who we are and how we do and things like that. Now I'll kind of just, in a geek way, walk through the platform side and get into the client success side. So this is that wallet share I was talking about. all these groups, and I mean, we work with some of these groups, but for the most part, the attendee, when we talk about that wallet share, that they don't get is this is the group that's getting it. So this is where we're in the middle. Sometimes I feel like I say that we're like Robin Hood, because we're coming into a festival group and saying, not only can we make you money on the hotels that you're not getting today, but then also, because we do such a good job of finding the best discounts and basically beating these groups to say, we're giving something. So not only you're making money from your customers with us, but also we're still beating these guys. So at the end of the day, we're still giving the service back, because otherwise they're paying a little bit more money than they normally would. So we're a little bit of the Robin Hood style. But this is just kind of a snapshot of the world that we live in and who we're battling, and there's a lot more to this. I mean, Airbnb, take your pick. Again, I'm not going to try and get too geeky because I'm not really good at that. So kind of the sauce is on how we handle the hotel side. So today, we have the ability to grab from just ungodly amounts of feed of different hotel channels and price and put in the packaging side. And then on the other side, we're able to physically go and work with hotels on group. So that means that on the group side, physical side, we can go and secure the best rates, and then put that in the package. And the same thing on the tech side, which this just keeps getting better and better. I say this in a competitive way. What we have access to, and I'm sure Satoris would say this, we have more access to hotel inventory than the bigger groups that you hear of other platforms, packaging platforms like a Vibey, Crewfair. I know this is being taped, but like at the end of the day, it's true. I don't want to put that number up, but that's a big part for our competition side. There's a whole bunch of other things that separate us from that. But at the bread and butter is our packaging. And for the most part, it's the hotel and ticket. But we are a tech company, and we're finding out new ways to do new things with the platform and how we bundle or what we put on the platform. And quite a few of the teammates back there, Landell, lives in this world. But this is the bread and butter of what we create when it comes to packaging. I could get really crazy and talk about all the other packaging we do, but this is about the bread and butter of the elevated side, just the general hotel and ticket, and then the hotel side. And the other part is, I think, because there is marketing on this presentation. So all these are different. These are all executed completely different when it comes to marketing. So in other words, this is always that. I don't know if you guys have read a book by the name Contagious, but it talks about like the $1,000 cheesesteak in Philadelphia, and that like it gets people to talk about it, and then you go to the place because you're not going to get $1,000 cheesesteak, but you go and you get a cheesesteak because of it. This kind of works that way, right? So this has all that cool baller type stuff, but in theory, we're going back to that Robin Hood thing. We're going after that middle person that travels. You're going to the event, right? But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we find the travelers, and that pie could be anything. That pie could be 80% of that event is travelers, or it could be 8%. But our goal with the client is get whatever percentage we possibly can to market to them. And then we don't stop. On the hotel side, that's where we make the money. The ticket is just the hook, but the hotel is where we make money. So the key part of that is, how are we talking to your customers that bought a ticket to offer them the hotel side? And there's a bunch of other things that go with that, but at the bread and butter, what we do, and there's a lot of other things. We got Paulina, one of our teammates back there. She's on the trade show and convention side and navigating that ship. That's like the mecca. Once we kind of crack that iceberg of conventions and hotel side. Right now, it's one of the packaging of experiences, and crazy stuff that attendees do. But yeah, you get to that other side. I think we won't be able to retire. I'm just kidding. So the other thing is just the features. Right, as we built along, going back to when we were here at WeWork, we were not doing this. So this was some super, I'll get into it later, but today we have true seat map manifest, similar to if you were on an AXS program or Ticketmaster, select your seats, views, everything. Like, we do that today. We look super cool for clients, and it works, and it's great. But the next phase is what we're doing today, which is integration. So the integration part is, think about like if there's all these tickets on Access program and work on the nights, our API, does everyone know what API is? Or if you don't, it's okay. But at the end of the day, we're going into their bucket and pulling that ticket from their manifest and selling it with our package. Great for the client because they don't have to do anything but just send over a couple of check marks on their ticketing system that allows us to do that. And then we're singing off the same sheet of music and making some money together. And this is, to me, I've always felt with our company, like this is like the holy grail of once we get to that, because we're already doing the hotel side. Once we get the ticketing side, I mean, then well, we're gonna need a bigger boat because it'll be crazy there. So, but there's the ticketing side, obviously, bread and butter's the hotel side. The ability to be flexible with what we would do with hotels, how we put in hotels, what it means to the client. There's a million different ways. Some clients are like, I want hotels, I want it on my site with my customers. Or some have different ways. Like a prime example, we're working with CONCACAF right now for all the games for the summer, and they have a deal with Hilton, and they can't sell anything else. Which, we're like, well, you sure you don't want to sell the other ones? Like, no, we got to do Hilton, which is fine. This is what they want, sponsorship deal. It's not about, don't tell us the story of this, but it's not about always making money sometimes. It's about providing that service. So for them and the, 30 matches, whatever we're doing, it's just Hilton properties. That's it. These are new things that we're entering to of how flexible this platform can be. Went back to the add-on part. This is just that other piece. I always look at this like from when I worked in the restaurant industry. It was like, make sure you sell it packs, right? Like everyone wants a cheese stick. So the other piece is not just outside of the bread and butter, is like merch, parties, etc., things like that. This part of this system has grown to another system that I'll talk about later. But when we do the events and things like that, Jam Pack has its own ticketing platform. So at any given moment, I'll say we'll cap out today at maybe 5,000 people who get scanned in. I don't even want to be a part of that, but we're heading that way. But today, the way we do the add-ons, whether it be some sort of merch, a party, that we also host. So there are things that we will come in as a service that will provide more on the physical boots on the ground side, which he's not here, which is Derek, one of our guys that we send to said location and handles kind of the whole human element of our side. And he's also part of the client success, which is awesome. So the other part too is getting to the back end. When you think about how do we, the marketing side of some of these packages they could be up there. They're $3,000-4,000, right? And there's some that are just that fits their wallet, and they're able to do that. Some want to go, so we have the ability to make it affordable or kind of more flexible for them, whether it be through our deal with a firm, or we also have our internal payment plan system, which is, let's see if I can say this right today. It's there's a fee price to it, but there's no credit check or anything like that, which works out fantastic for attendees. The other part, we're always on. So this is a new feature that's happened over the past year. Big piece for us. This is where we get to compete with the big boys. But this is the ability to say, like CERC. We worked with CERC last year, and we needed to have the ability to have our hotels always on for multiple dates for 3 months in a row. New venture for us. It was something that was being worked on. We did it, and this is going to be a big part of as we continue to go. And you think about things like seasons for like a Hamilton or something like that. They have those seasons. Those are where these elements come in very handy for clients. All right. Well, okay. So our head of revenue, I let him look at this, and he started messing with it. So as we go, if there's anything fun in here, that means he's having fun with me. So I can already tell he changed some things. But so why client success is critical at startup. So the ability to go get to. Hold on, let me pause there. Any questions about Jam-Pack, the platform, before I get cooking with client success? Any kind of random stuff I may answer here in the next 10 minutes. Jeff?
How's the food and beverage add-on work?
How does that work?
Yeah.
Depends. It could be, a couple things. So if they do everything through like an RFID or an app or things like that, beautiful. Because then we're just exchanging databases, they load it up, you go to the place, we inform you on our side, and then you're getting just like a regular customer. And then there's other sides, we'll say the term food vouchers or lists, old school stuff. that, but we try to stay on the digital platform. And I mean, I would, to answer that question further, that's the beautiful part about having a really good product team is like eventually how do you connect to somebody's their point of sales, right? And so we have relationships with those groups, and yeah, that's a good question. Just depends. Same thing with the merch. Same thing with parties. It could be either of the three. Yeah.
I have a question. So,
Yeah.
like, I sit on a lot of like hotel flights. Like, is there any integration or anything that has to be considered in terms of like, when I look at that, it's like, okay, that's great, but I can just get my house.
So I'm laughing because one of my teammates is back there. We just got in this discussion yesterday. I was just traveling using our platform for a soccer tournament, and I got my help points, and I had to put in my stuff to get the points. So I brought it to one of our product guys, and he was like, unfortunately, it's a whole different rabbit hole for us to go down that route. But we're on the same page because I look at it from a marketing side. It's like, how cool would it be to say on our side, like, hey, you get to use your points and you can bypass quite a few systems, but on the business side, on the hotel side, we get sticky because they obviously want you to go through their platform, use the points and all that stuff. So, but that, I mean, I'm not kidding, that was just literally a question, what's it, Wednesday? Yeah. So, yeah, too fun, but yeah. But the thing is, on the back end, you still can put in your points, and that's something that I was also bringing up is that, you know, maybe there's some marketing that we tell people like, you do that, make sure to, you know, check with your points, so you get, you know, so you still get logged and acknowledged that you're staying in place. So these are my notes. I don't have them over here, but you know, startups can afford high churn. Every customer counts, and keeping them is often cheaper than replacing them. Right? CS isn't just support; it's a revenue driver, it's a growth lever. At Janpack, most of our expansion has come from renewals and referrals, and that ain't luck; it's strategy, and that's part of the big team back there. Is that you know, it's relationship. I always feel like we're hack dancing sometimes because you just if things aren't going well, if they are. But in theory, none of these clients need Janpack. They really don't. We're a free service that provides revenue, and the point of how we take care of people matters. And it should be an engine, to be honest with you. But like for us, I look at like when I was in a restaurant. I learned so much from the restaurant industry. People go eat elsewhere. They don't need to eat at your place, and definitely Vegas. Same thing here. So what we do and how we do with clients is very important. And I'd be amiss to know that, you know, Manny back there who's filming me, is, you know, the way we approach, the way we talk. There's also a little bit of strategy to that. The key was when we were building the client success team, was not just to hire somebody off the street to say, I'm a client success role. No, our event business is dynamic. So we hunted for people, at least on the higher level, that knew the business. Because it's not well, y'all work in the gray area, I'm sure, right? And sometimes 2 + 2 = 7, even though you don't want it to. We're used to that. And that's kind of that part of that business on the side of us and the strategy in which we do. And there's a lot of things that I was doing 20 years ago that come up from the woodworks to do things today. I know that from Andy, I know for the team and the way we teach and the way we do things. So not much has really changed over the past 20 years. Tech's gotten cooler, but still got human beings. As long as there's human beings, you can just count on just about anything and everything going right or wrong. But that's kind of the why client success is needed. Is that inner area. No matter how dope AI gets, you're still going to need human beings to work with human beings. And I don't know about y'all, but I hate going through step 3, 4, 5 on a phone call to get to the one person that can I just talk to a human? Like, I just love to say that and just push through. But either way. So, all right, he didn't mess with us, which is good. So, what's client success look like at Janpack? I think, again, we're here at WeWorks, and so, you know, our process has evolved. Early on, it was high touch, chaotic. Now we're developed flow from onboarding all the way to feedback loops. One key takeaway, CS must be involved with all the steps. And we've learned hard with that. So I can just tell you, I wish he was here. You guys, he'd be a lot for y'all right now, but like he's awesome. He's one of our co-founders, Sonny. He was adamant about saying client success has to be in every step. If people have theories in this tech business, I'm finding out like, oh, client success comes in like step 4. Like, none of that applies to our role. His thinking is, if you're gonna be handling this entire process, you need to be at the beginning. And once we gave into that and really started honing in on that, it made my life easier, I know it made Mandy's life easier, the team that gets to run with this, and everyone else. I mean, because we're at the point of contact with the client, we're at the point of contact with the product, so take your pick. We're kind of that in the middle and how this thing works. So, but what I like about this is that, so when we were behind the scenes, the things that we were doing, it was straight up duct tape. I mean, you can see a car out there right on the streets that has duct tape holding that, that light together, and it's like, doesn't look good, but it's doing it, and the light's holding there, and it's working. We did the same thing, but we did it internally, so you didn't see it, right? Like that's what we were doing a lot of. Today we're the conductors, kind of, but we are. I mean, because of what's growing and the way we are and how we evolve, we've been given the reins to guide you through, and it's fun. I'll tell you, it's kind of it's a great high when you get to work with a team and do those things, but you can't do it without them. That's why, like, this dude ain't nobody if those people don't show up. He's just looking at a sheet of music and looking like a mime or whatever. So, but yeah, we've evolved from here at WeWork to our really cool company and the building that we're in today that just kind of represents the tech business and the way we're able to work together. But I do miss this place. This place was so fun. Bizarre people everywhere. Everyone doing their businesses if you all work here.
Just a question in terms of trying to understand clients.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So are you looking at it from a perspective of the whole experience, or are you looking at it from the perspective of the product you offer in terms of organizing the experience?
Another good question. Yeah. So glad you brought this up. So when I first started at the company here, my title was client success and marketing, and I came from, I didn't dive into too much of my career, but for 20 years I've been in the arena, stadium, event business. Helped launch a ticketing company called UNLV Tickets 20 years ago. Did all kinds of other live event production. I wore a lot of hats. I was very blessed. But the terms like marketing, production, those things, ticketing, totally used to those. Come here, like, your title is client success. I'm like, what the hell is that title? Like, I'd never even heard of. I thought it was a joke. Like, are we making this up? Is that kind of like the tech business where we just make up things? Because like, right, if you're in this long enough, what is it, like every 6 months we have a new way of doing marketing or something, right? It's like, you just got a way of saying it, but it's still the same thing. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I'll go back to Sonny, because he was the architect of this. He believed that all fell under that client success role, almost like a quarterback, if you will, or like a point guard of basketball, right? Because a point guard can shoot, or take a pass. Sometimes if they got to play center, like Magic Johnson, if you guys know about Magic Johnson, but he had to play center a long time ago and win a championship. But yeah, it's more of a, you got to wear a lot of hats kind of role. That's ours. But see, client success in other companies are different.
Well, I mean, there's scope different. So I'm just
Oh yeah.
how.
And I think the other cooler part for us is we've evolved. Again, we got a lot of us entertainment people coming in with tech people, and we're merging. And I asked a ton of questions. Like Brian, who set this up, Brian came from all kinds of different avenues of client success. And I love asking him questions because he'll just, this is different. Like, our pace is way faster. But like, he came from Uber Eats. Like, you control the levers from Uber Eats, because during COVID, you needed Uber Eats, or at least people did, right? The client success is more like you could put someone in that place that doesn't have like a ton of experience. They just got to do those functionalities, and it's not hard to onboard, Chili's, but if that answers your question, kind of.
It does. I guess a follow-up would be is how closely tied is your client success to product design?
Oh, huge. Oh, huge. So, not a super let's go do this together kind of thing, but it's
right.
like if we see things, and that's the beautiful part about our team, right? Like it's what I've learned is you want your product team to tell you no every time, like not like just jump at every idea you throw. Like you want to be challenged, and I'll touch on it, but it's like you got to be coming in like, what do you want to accomplish with the way you're shooting at them? Because if not, you're making people do things they don't necessarily do. These product people make really good money. One of my teammates always like, man, that was an expensive call we were just on. for 30 minutes. It's like, no, I don't care. Like, we're trying to get stuff done. I'm trying to figure things out. So, but you got to come to the table with a lot of products because these cats are smart, right? Like, they know what they're doing. You got to come to the table with a very solid idea. You better sell it. You better have some sort of metrics to prove it or something of that nature. Otherwise, it's just gonna not, yeah. It's a how do we help each other out, and what we're seeing out on the front lines. Back to, well, I think it was like during World War II when everything was going on back then. We were developing weapons on the fly based off of what was happening. It's no different. It really is. It's same kind, different products, but same kind of concept of like we gotta trust each other in what we're seeing. But I'll talk about that on the ticketing side. But that's a really good question. Anyone else have a question? Yeah.
Yeah, with client success, have you seen it be used as not really a metric, but a way for you to pivot your product market fit within Jampack?
You're hitting me with some tech marketing lingo. What do you mean?
Like with product market fit, one of the things I know with product market fit is it's always constantly adapting. It's always constantly changing and pivoting.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, like, does client success help drive that product market?
Oh yeah, 100%.
fit? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we wear a lot of hats. So we again merging the marketing client success department fits a lot of that. So what we'll see is, we were meeting yesterday about this. We got another integration that's coming across with Frontgate. If you ever work with ticketing for Frontgate. So we look at it and go, nobody's doing what we're doing. They're not yet at least. And I always look at like the podcast industry, right? Like I was in podcasting for quite a while, and I was in it before it was podcasting today. And it's very similar, right? Like the event business is like, they need other ways to make revenue. Podcast another way for people to make revenue, do advertising. And same thing with us. We're how do we position ourselves out there to make sure that we're stiff arming the competition, because they can't today do a ticket and a hotel platform the way we do. But yeah, great question. Caught me off like what you're talking about the product. But on the side of like integration side, Frontgate, Access, those kind of things are very sexy to a client that uses Frontgate and wants to do the platform stuff. We've done it before, it was a little clunky, and we're saying, no man, it'll take us 24 hours to get it running, and you're making money, and we're here to take care of you. But then we got to tell that story too. We got to get out in front of people and share that. There's no different than we're trying to sell a package. You got to find that audience to serve that message up to, that we can do this. And then we also become a good partner of Frontgate. It's like you're getting a service. And I don't want to get too much of my past, but when I was with UNLV and we were doing UNLV tickets, there's a company called Pack Yellen that we worked with behind the scenes, and we did that together. They were a back engine ticket, white label platform. We were UNLV tickets on the front end, but we worked together in ways to utilize what we had, what they had, and how we went forward. And I'm hoping that starts happening here pretty soon with these ticket agents. It's going to take some time, but we'll get there. We'll be doing this, hopefully, with them, with more people, like John Williams style. So what I like in marketing, you can put some cool logos and like, this is who we work with, right? Or this is who we hang out with, but sometimes it's BS, right? And our head of revenue said which I agree with, and did. So I'm sure there's more when we get down here, but what's working, what hasn't, and one of the details of like, the way we were doing things, we were ahead of our time on certain things and trying to do things maybe we didn't need to do, and there's other things that maybe we needed to scale it back, right? So I would say within a year we were working with the Kings. The platform we had was not really, we were getting over our skis with what we want to do with them, right? And we did 2 rounds with the platform. I showed you the select seat piece. That was the second round, but the first round was really, it was the digital duct tape that I showed you. And it just didn't, we were still figuring things out. And going back to your side on the market fit, this world, sports world, it's a whole other different business than the festival side of how you market, and you got it. This is like if you're gonna get serious when you're dating, getting coffee, and you're like, no, we're gonna do this for like this has got to be. We got to do a few coffee trips, maybe a happy hour. A dinner's like 6 months down the road. Whereas the festival side is like, dude, you know, so I won't get too crazy, but it's like you met on a Friday night and you're hanging out. But this side is like what we learned and how we're still learning how to go that route with what we do on all levels, ticketing, marketing, etc. And the conversion side is very challenging because certain groups, like for instance this, so they do, what is it? They're 82 home games, right?
41.
Or yeah, I'm thinking baseball, love that. But in there, ain't that many people traveling to a Kings game. There may be a small percentage, but you know who is traveling? Blackhawks in January. They're getting the hell out of Chicago and coming. So there's a deeper strategy that's got to be worked well in advance to do this, and we're on, that's why he put the so we're still learning that. Okay, podcasting, right? So Dear Media, does any women in here listen to Dear Media? Okay. My point is that this is, you know what I mean? So this group is awesome. So we came in overdoing it. Like our platform was like, this is what you should be doing. And they're like, we just need ticketing. That's it. That's all we need. Just need ticketing. That's all we need. We're a little podcast company. We sell all kinds of crazy stuff. We're growing. We just need ticketing. And we're like, no, you need packages. You need travel. You need this. Like, no, we don't. We just need ticketing. So we did the whole packaging thing, and it was, okay. And then we got back, and we said, all right, ticketing. We'll do ticketing. And today, we are their main ticketing provider. 4 this year, Darren? Yeah. So, and then moving forward with their series expanding, and we're able to help them out and support them and growing and being patient with what needs to happen or what we're doing. But yeah, again, 2 brands that like, you know, you look at and you just think that, oh, it's a home run, you get to work with the Kings. Like, no, not the case. For those that know who this dude is, collaboration is super key. That to me, being intuitive, solution-based, and collaborative, for us, if I really boil it down, is really what makes us successful from a team standpoint, and how we collaborate, and it's why I got my kids in sports, because unless you're gonna be like, I guess Elon Musk, but he still had to work with people, you gotta be able to collaborate with people, and you gotta be able to like speak to them and work with them, and there's things you gotta do that sometimes you just may not wanna, I had Mandy and I, who we've worked together for 20 years, we had a guy that would tell us that, look, I don't care if you guys hang out after work, but when we're here, you got to work together. Like, that's what we got to do. And I'm pretty open to collaboration. I'm not like a hard guy to get along with. Hopefully you guys can tell that. I always say I'm super passionate, but that's just the way I am. But the collaborative stuff, I love that stuff. Whenever we get to collaborate, back to your question on that, I love it. We have teammates that I get a kick out of it, that I know that we got to work with them because I know they're going to be challenging, but in a fun way. And you got to figure out how to collaborate with them and how to get things done. But yeah, our big piece on what we do every day is a big collaboration of how we do things, and same with clients. Sometimes we're in the middle of working with our product team, our client, and we're in the middle, which is always interesting when you get those kind of groups on the call, because like they don't talk to each other a lot of times. It's like, hey, just let you know, this guy, when we get on the call, he's a quiet person, so you just got like, there's a piece of the collaboration piece of making it work that is what we do a lot. I'm gonna pause. Any questions before I keep diving in, or anything? Nothing? Okay, cool. So this is kind of the part that I think a lot of people ask about, is when you think about like onboarding or how do you organize stuff, and you see sexy programs like Salesforce or take your pick of just all the kind of the platforms that are out there that make everything sing. Well, when we first started, when I got here, first I didn't know what Slack was. I didn't know what Zoho was. I didn't know what Zapier was. I didn't know what, I could just go on. And neither did we. Like, we were this. And it was like, and I also hear like client success is gotta be using this, and like they gotta be using this, and we gotta have this stuff over here. And I'm like, whatever, I'm just showing up every day and whatever we can do to figure this out. And So, like anybody that's ever dealt with Legos, if you really want to use them right, you gotta organize them, right? And the cool part is, once you organize them, then you can build whatever the hell you want to build. You can have fun with being creative and things like that. And case in point, yesterday, it's funny because the team's back here, but it's when you do this, then everyone's got their own ways of doing things. And if you organize everything properly from your platforms, from how you use Slack or how you use whatever CRM, if it's HubSpot or if it's Google Sheets or what, take your pick, I don't care. Monday.com, we use all those things. But what's interesting is yesterday, kind of the team back there, we had a young gentleman by the name of Sean who has been getting under, and that's the other thing. So since we are at startup and talking about young talent, things like that, what's cool is when you hire young talent, you put them in areas that they just are in like a Toys R Us still exists, but like the ability to just have fun with what they're doing. We had Sean kind of dive into some of our programs, which was Monday.com, and we use a platform by it's called Doc, and it's an onboarding piece, just like a lot of them. Anyway, so he worked on it, looked at some things, and then presented to the team. And I knew it was going to be, for him, I did this on purpose because I wanted him to present to the team, but it wasn't like the team was like, let's go, Sean. This is not the way it works. But what you learn is, Sean learned a lot on how to mold stuff, right? And then someone else may have a different way that they want to use it. And again, going back to the Legos, we're all using Legos, but some of us may want to use the Legos differently. And to me, I think that's one of the key pieces. If anyone asks me about client success, is not, actually, let me rewind. 4 years ago, we had some teammates that believed, this is how we're going to do client success, this is how we're going to onboard, and this is the way you all got to do it. You got to talk this way, and I'm like, get out of here with that. Like, really? Can't, I mean, who can work that way? I mean, like, seriously, if y'all have ever dealt with that, it's like, no, not going to happen. It just doesn't fit. It's like, give you an analogy. So I coach my soccer team, and I have one girl who's very like a caveman. She like just tries to kick a ball through everyone's shins. And I'm like, you're like, that's like putting a square peg in a circle hole. Like, why do you do that? Like, just dribble out and then kick. Like, stop doing that. That's what we were dealing with back then. It was like, this is how it's got to work. I'm like, it doesn't fit everybody. So today, and yesterday's meeting was a great example of, oh, yeah, I could use that, or I could do that, I could use that, whatever. So, but the bigger piece is being flexible with all your platforms, because there's a lot of them out there, and I think for some that are startup, and everyone's got a solution that everyone can solve all your problems. That's the best part about tech, right? I'm sure y'all get blown up on your DMs on LinkedIn, but I can help you sell 10,000 packages. No, you can't, I promise. You should try, trust me, you can. Or whatever product you guys are dealing with, I'm sure you get the same thing. Maybe someday we have to test that out. But so the future of client success and Jeopardy, and I think for a lot of people, right? Like, again, we have access to some very high-end product engineers. And I didn't dive too much in it, but when Satoris, who our fearless leader, CEO, he's a monster when it comes to the business side of Silicon Valley. And I learned a lot from him. I knew nothing about Silicon Valley or the tech business. Worked with it, but not until I worked with him and the insight and his passion. But once we got funded, we went and got money. Well, then you go from, I don't know if people know, like, the difference between the A's that are coming here or the Yankees. There's bigger budgets, there's bigger checkbooks that they get to write. So what happened was, Satoris already been through this before, and he knew he wanted to do it even better than before. So with that money, we went and looked at top-tier talent, and we grabbed cats that started Uber, guys that started Facebook, and I'm not kidding. Like, they're in podcasts, like in any of these like history stories about these companies getting started. They're in there, and they're awesome people, and they're brilliant, and I feel blessed to work with them. But anyways, what's cool along the way is when it comes to AI and all the other things that are happening, we get access. These guys know those things. Oh, I know John. John started this. Jesus, dude, that's awesome. But that's what goes on in our company. And you know, we use AI, every one of us. In fact, I wouldn't be lying that most of this presentation was done in AI. I went and redid it and kind of made it my own, but it did help me save probably 8 hours of stuff I probably would have done. But going back to this, I love this because I bet a lot of our guys that we use AI, and a lot of people like, did you even read that thing, man, before you posted that? You probably should. Nobody does though, for some reason. It's probably good. I personally, I'll just tell you my hack on a writing side. I'll use Chat or I'll use Google's, but then I'll dump it through my Grammarly that I've used for 10 years, and then I'll regurgitate that a few times until I get it to where I want it and make it sound so it doesn't sound like ChatGPT. But back to this, when you talk about the future of client success, and I think it's across the board, is that you're still gonna need the human, you're still gonna need the robot, and again, this dude doesn't get to conquer, Darth and all those crazy cats without this guy. Well, and he ain't getting around because he ain't got no wheels, and so he needs him to put him in my point is that they had to work together on what they did. I'm just being, this is just an example, but I mean, that's supposed to be like thousands of years in the future. So that just tells you that we're not getting away from robots and humans. If George Lucas knows what he was doing, but yeah, I think that the piece of how you balance, how you utilize these things is really a key piece. And going back to the Lego side, it's how you fit it, right? And I think on the client success side, like if you're that company that sells beards and you got those cool videos on YouTube about how to use this beard cutter or those dad bod shirts, whatever they are. Maybe I'm the only guy that's getting those ads, but my point is that you're still gonna need the human stuff. You're just gonna need it. It's inevitable. But I think the balance of how that works and what we do going forward, I think is the key piece. So 30 minutes, by the way. See, I told you. So here we are. So again, in the piece, there's like some things to walk away with, right? So I want to help you and have fun with kind of what we do. And by the way, so the team is leaving. We got a big event going on next week called Bitcoin. We're part of that. We're their platform for hotels, tickets, everything like that. So we're planning for the event next week. So, but I want to have fun with y'all, I can't tell you 3 things that gonna make it better. This is up to you. But I will tell you to have some things that I've learned along the way that with the young team I always plant in their head. So one of them is, I'll go back to when he's one of our head engineers. He oversees the enterprise side. He's a tough cookie, and he's Australian, so I love talking Australians. But he will always say, when we get on a call, and I don't care who it is, he'll say, what are we trying to accomplish? Otherwise, I'm not getting on the call. And I love that, because I used to get on the call and I'd ramble like this. But he makes me think about, all right, I got to think about why did I hit you to get on the call, or why did you do? Here's what we're trying to do, and here's my outcome. It makes me think even better. And you guys may be saying, oh, I already do that. Cool. I didn't, and it helped. And I'm 50 years old, 51, my daughter would say. But that's a big piece, right? It's what are you always trying to accomplish? Small or big? It helps. Then, this is from our other co-founder. I love this one. This is the one where assumption is I hate assumption. And this is Crack's assumption. It's inspect what you expect. And so, if your expectations are certain things, man, you better inspect every little rock to make sure, I call it, don't get pie in the face, because that's the last thing you want. And I would tell you, unfortunately, I got a lot of pie in the face, but that's how I got good. But this is a big piece. This is that checklist item of did we check everything off the box, just to at least make sure before we go do what we're doing that we're good. And this is a joke with us, so check again, go back to it again, because you may have missed something. And it's my simple hack of what we do, and this is stealing from teammates, but that's the simplest thing I could leave you with, because again, Chad ain't gonna answer it. That dude or gal that just probably hit you up on LinkedIn that tells you they got all the answers, they ain't got the answers. They're just trying to sell you a product, right? Or sell you a service or something like that. But these are things that I use to just expand my experience or my industry knowledge and things like that. So, and that's it. That's the presentation, jam-packed, living the dream. We started here, and it is cool that I get to come back here and get to bring some of the teammates, because we didn't know. I didn't tell you, we were confident, yeah, we're gonna do it, but you're all doing companies, if you're doing your own business, you have no idea. Unless you're that solid, you wouldn't be here, right? You'd be, I don't know where you'd be, but you wouldn't be here. I'm just being honest, right? And we still don't. Things can go wrong, things can happen, or someone does something dumb out there. But yeah, it's just cool to be here talking to you guys. I think there's an emotional part of me, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm here and telling you, and we get to talk this game. So that's it. If you got any questions, anything, tell me. And I mean, anything that you haven't asked or curious about.
I can always throw a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'll throw the first one, which is how deep do you build your customer profile in a sense? What
Like
are
our
the-
client profile, or, I mean,
Well, I guess your client profile, and to the extent of like, do you use other data sources and probably proprietary, but which ones?
really good question. So what's cool about our world is we have our client side, right? And then since we're partners going in together selling the packaging side, we have customers.
Right.
Along the way, this is where we have to get a little brave, a little bit courageous conversation with our clients, that at some point, those are all, I mean, those are Jam-Pack customers.
Right.
They're your customers. And how do we leverage that for you? And then at some point, how do we leverage for Jam-Pack and other clients, right? But we use our, so like, we use a platform for active campaigns, but then we use, going back to the Legos, we use, God, I wish Jensen here. But we use 3 other programs that manifest the data so we can use it properly, and where we can identify people, or on a security level. And then the other part is where we're going with the marketing side, is saying, let's say for instance you bought from us, and we hit you with some ads. We can now start recognizing you a little bit more when you do come from the platform. I mean, this is kind of like bread and butter stuff, but what's weird is to get to that point, it's not as easy as everyone thinks.
Right.
So, and the other part too, some of our clients are our customers because they go to festivals or they go to sports.
Right.
So it's a very, we sit in a very weird universe when it comes to database marketing, and what we do from a B2B side and a B2C side. I have a different philosophy than a lot of our team. I'm more of the understanding that because we work in a business and we stay in hotels, like everybody, pretty much everyone does that, our B2B customers are sometimes truly our B2C customers because they got introduced via, and this has happened a lot. They were going to a festival, they got hit from the client that we were working with to say, hey, check this out. And they're like, this is awesome. I need to talk to Jam-Pack. I mean, this has happened a lot in our business on that side. So, yeah, if y'all want, I could talk about marketing forever with what we've done because I've lived it, and I feel more confident in what we do today. If you would ask me that question 4 years ago when we were here, again, I didn't know what we were doing when I got here. I mean, we were still figuring it out. And today, back to the organized Legos, we feel a lot better of like where we sit, what we can do, and where we're just getting started. I mean, it's pretty crazy on some of the platforms. Because I mean, I don't want to speak for Satoris or anybody else in the company, but I think at some point it's going to be where you're able to do everything yourself, right? And you'll still have people that help you, like the clients. You'll still need the humans, the ones that know what they're doing. But the point would be you log into the Jam-Pack system, you build your event, you use dates, hotels, you turn on your ticket switch because you're using this ticket company, or you got to call your ticket groups, hey man, I need to be integrated here, and all right, here's this file, make sure you upload that, and you're good. Down there, I think that's where we're heading. I don't know when that would be, but I think I have no idea. But that's part of that true automation piece that you, the user, can use the platform and make the money that you do.
So, as I'm trying to just think back to what you were talking about, but from a journey perspective, it sounds like you were there pretty early.
Oh yeah.
Right? And, as they think, figuring out how to work together, finding different solutions has kind of got you where you are today.
Yeah.
But typically for organizations that are looking to, scale, right? The hero culture and, that whole like multi-hats becomes a little bit more formalized as a process.
Yeah.
But as the cost of doing that is agility. So how are you guys balancing that? I don't know where your kicker is and what your revenue is, but just like it's something that I would expect, every other look at the fangs here. You ran into it and sometimes they did well, sometimes they did pretty
Yeah, I mean, no, that is a great question because, again, going back to when we were bringing in teammates, there was a thought process of like, we needed to hire people or bring them in more on the front side, not the engineering side, stuff like that. From hotel, or I worked at Expedia, I was like, and no, that is not this business. But yeah, to the point of the flexibility and kind of where we need to sit, I've always been a big fan of, you gotta create value for yourself. Now, if you're really good at one thing, you better be damn good at that one thing, better than everybody else. But for the most part, what I'm seeing in the tech side, I think this is an interesting question, is like, you gotta have a lot of flexibility on not just the side of client success, but like just your human side of things, but also your research of everything that you like. So for instance, we were meeting last week and we launched some things that we've been working on with the team is how do we market out there without just marketing one event. So we started focusing on genre marketing. And what was interesting was we're a team that wants to be accountable for everything we do and show what we do. We're not a group that wants to go hide and like, we're marketing the highs. And we want to like pound on our chest like, man, we did that. And here's what we did and how we did, and we want to do more of it. So we launched our genre marketing to where we'd say, we have all these reggae festivals across the country, and how do we do that? It took us a little while to get there with the team, but we launched it 2 weeks ago, and every Thursday, meeting with our digital agency, like, guess what? It's working, and we're converting. But they're like, we want a little bit more deeper on how to do it. And it's just funny, like, again, if you don't know the tech side sometimes, you're maybe get afraid these kind of groups how to do this. This goes about the roundabout of the teammates that we need.
So I mean, that actually brings up a question.
Yeah.
In the sense that, large, I would say, like Fortune 500 organizations.
Yeah.
They've come to the point of where, before we go experiment and decide to go somewhere, right? We want a business case, we want, this whole thing, right? Basically define project charter, define program charter,
Yeah.
like that, right? I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of agility. So like, how quickly were you able to define like, measures of success, right? And what is the tolerance for failure that, has brought you kind of overall success?
So that comes with like really good tools, which we did not have all that great for the first couple of years. Going back to the Sartorius graph and the All-Stars.
Yep.
Once we started getting the guys that came from other businesses to kind of formulate the reporting, and that took a little while because when you got revenue coming from one area, hotel side or other things, and then ticketing side, and how do you divvy that up in the way that, like, let's say for instance, you come to us as a client, and we got to make sure your ticketing revenue, your money that goes right back to you. So there's a couple of ways that you look at the success. Obviously, you look at like the GMV side, at least on the sexy side, I call that the marketing side, and then on the net side, okay, we're making money. So there's a balance there. But I think once you get into this more expansive platform, what are the other ways that you can make money? Almost like being someone like a farm guy owning his land, and he's able to monetize not just the grains, not just the water, the air. That's where we're at now. But to get that point to where we set that bar, we're resetting a lot of what we kind of set that bar as. I mean, the package sales is just a normal one.
Right.
But then now, as you start to come in, you're like, you have fees attached to things. That's it. That's a whole other thing. My thing, I come from a marketing world, so my goal is to say, if our platform's so easy, and it takes an hour to get up and running for a client,
Right.
and some will look at it and balk and go, without rocking making money, do a little time out. But if we get, let's say 100 people to buy a package, or 100 people to sign up in that, the way I look at it is, I'm always on the customer side. Like, the more people we get in the door, or at least cater to them, and bring them back, there's a value to that person, which we haven't got that. Like, in other words, if we acquire you, and now you're in our marketing machine, what does that number look like to you being a part of that? So we're now forging to that as for the marketing front. So does that?
No,
Yeah.
I'm probing your company, so
Yeah, no, I
I'm
love
trying to
it.
understand.
Yeah.
So I guess another perspective is that looking at your revenue diversification, right? I mean, there's
again, another great question, yes. So, listen, man, you're kind of picking from our consciousness, but yeah, so we're looking at more of a licensing program, right? So Costco's a great one. In fact, I'll give you a great example. When I first started with the company, I bought a Disney Costco travel package.
Right.
And it was like, for the first time, I'm like, oh, this is what I'm getting into, right? Because you go to Costco, you sign in, you do your thing, and then where does it do it next? It dumps you to Disney, then it redirects you back, right? It's like, oh, okay, I'll get this, right? Well, yeah, to your point, that's a licensing. There's a program in between that could be a jam pack that nobody knows, but that's providing that service. In fact, there is 4 groups right now that we're doing that behind the scenes. Yeah, no, it's again, it goes back to the flexibility of the platform and not just saying, well, we only do ticket hotels, or we're a platform. How do we keep making that thing work and stay within our lanes? You know, it's like we're not going to be making burgers anytime soon, but that's that's a really good question because that's part of that kind of the system as we go forward. It's a fun world we're in right now. So, but yeah, 4 clients and 1 I'm meeting with tomorrow. So, yeah. Well, thank you everybody. It was awesome. Seriously. Hopefully you learned maybe something a little bit, or if not, you learned about Jam-Pack. But I thank you for having me up here. It's cool. So,
Do you want to tell them if other contact information besides the email?
oh yeah, I
LinkedIn?
mean, if you want, you can text me 702.
Oh, whoa.
No.
Whatever.
You have no idea. We live in the text world. Like our world is fast as can be, and but I mean, if anything, I mean, this is where you can hold me. Go to jampack.com. You can see what we got going on. We are kind of redoing all of our B2B sites, so you can see a lot more things, more activity, a lot more announcements, a lot of what's going on. It's a big part. We got to let everyone know that what we do, because we're doing a lot, and it's cool. But those are good questions. Like he's asking things that we're living in, and I'm glad. I like it. You know, because there's a lot of people we work with on the client success side. It's challenging getting someone on board into our company. It's like we got it. Part of our role, and I didn't talk about here, is like challenging them to do the right thing. Key factor is in fact, I tell you. So 2 weeks ago, I was in Ohio doing this event called Sonic Temple. Huge festival, 4-day event, 60,000 people a day, and we were doing shuttles and a bunch of other services on top of the platform. And because I had the experience in the business, they were like, can you just go with the young team just to make sure everything goes? So I had no idea what I was getting into. I kind of knew what was going on. Well, glad I went because there was a lot of that old industry knowledge that I needed to bring into the fold, and we got stuff through and whatever. Well, the next night, it was kind of worried about being bumpy, and Torres calls. He's like, look, man, I was planning on flying back for Mother's Day, and he goes, I'll do whatever. Can you stay there and just make sure the thing's through? And it's like, I know it was bumpy, and I said, time out. Like, because earlier that day, I got to meet with, to get things done. This is kind of a weird hat. We're not talking about tech here, but I was working with the Ohio Highway Patrol, Ohio Police Department, and the festival directors on traffic management because their system failed the day before, and it was just it did. Vegas, we're very blessed here. The way we do things in the event business, just so anyone that's been here for a couple of days or been here forever, we're the best at it, 100%, hands down. And anyways, so we're meeting kind of new things. I talked to him that night. He's like, I know it was bumpy. I said, time out. I always try to look at the better side of something, right? I said, you know what's cool? I've been with our company for 4 years, and we had 20 clients. And we had to beg and plead to get a button on their site to sell, so fans could see it, right? So you even have to go get Indiana Jones to find the button tucked away in a page somewhere else. I said, today, I'm sitting there with our logo in this room, navigating, something that I wasn't planning on doing 4 days ago, but we were, and now we're successful and we did it. So the fun part is like these things that we get to do and where we can and what we're doing today. Same day. So I mean, it's but I could probably answer questions all day long, or provide you solutions, or BS you too. So that's what I'm kind of good at. So, anyways, thank you all very much. Yeah.